Hi, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're talking about something a little bit different. We're gonna talk about Lindsey Vonn and specifically the Stifle Team USSA Alpine Ski Team Awards. Now, these are, I think, voted on from what my understanding is from actual team members. So it's kind of like inside baseball, everybody votes for each other from the team on different categories. I also have a couple things I want to talk about. There was the big drama this year with Lindsey Vonn winning her World Cup race after coming out of retirement, being a much older member of the US ski team than we would typically see. And just, I want to do kind of a recap of some of my thoughts on the World Cup. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, but I just wanted to talk about it. There are ski deals coming up, so I'll probably have a designated video for that later in the week, and I will definitely still have just some of the deals I've found from my previous videos. I'll have that in the description. So if you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. You can like and subscribe, all that jazz. That doesn't really matter. Let's talk about the drama, because there's nothing if I don't love more than ski racing drama. You mix those together, chef's kiss, perfect. Now, let's just go through the awards and we'll kind of work backwards from there. First off, you have the Alpine Ski Team Awards. You have Athlete of the Year, which was Lauren Macuga and Ryan Cochran-Siegel. I don't know. Ryan had a great year. I think he got third in one of the World Cup races. Ryan Cochran-Siegel I actually used to race against when I was in the Vera program, in like the junior race program, but I was nowhere near him. I mean, that guy totally stomped me. But Athlete of the Year for Lauren Macuga, that's the problem. I've heard Lauren Macuga's names a couple times, but it's really hard to follow the World Cup. Okay. Rookie of the Year, yada yada. Here's where it gets wild. Best comeback was Breezy Johnson and Bridger Guile. Breezy Johnson got comeback of the year? Are we totally ignoring Lindsey Vonn having not just one of the biggest comebacks in the sport, but having one of the big comebacks in professional athletics of all time? That is absolutely unbelievable that that award wouldn't go to Lindsey Vonn after everything she's been through, all of the surgeries, getting her knee basically reconstructed, and then coming back and getting a World Cup win. It's not whatever, like you can say, oh, this person did more. Yeah, it's just like, it's not even that it really matters. I'm sure Lindsey Vonn didn't lose any sleep over this, but my God, it is like disrespectful. It's unnecessarily mean. It just comes across as like petty, tone deaf. And Lindsey Vonn has been like nothing but supportive of the team. Everything she's saying, oh, I just want to be part of the team. I want to contribute, whatever's going to be for the betterment of the team. After, stepping away and being on her own, she has come back and at least publicly been a total team player. So why would this happen? I don't know. I mean, you never know kind of the inner political workings of the US ski team, or who's popular, or if there's resentment from team members when somebody comes back like that. But this seems so short-sighted. There's another one. I saw Ski Essentials talked about this about a month ago, where they were talking about Nick Gepper in the freestyle section. Yeah, let's see. Oliver Giacchio had the best comeback. How is Nick Gepper's comeback? He literally is like completely made himself from scratch on social media. He completely like self-funded a bunch of the stuff starting out. He talked about some of his struggles with depression. He went and like built his own ramp out in the middle of the desert. What more do you want for a comeback? It might as well be Rocky Balboa you're watching. My God. Okay, anyway. It is absurd to me that neither of these athletes were recognized for their monumental comebacks to the sport. On top of that, if you want to get like down in the nitty-gritty, Mikaela Shiffrin's return from her injury, how is that not in the running? How is she not in that Athlete of the Year category? This is the problem. Like, there seems to be a big disconnect with ski racing and the stars and the people who are really driving viewership to the sport, who are really keeping it alive, who are living legends in our time, and the inner workings of whatever US ski team thing doesn't want to acknowledge them. It's fine. Like, okay, it's a, this might happen to like up and coming new athletes where they're not getting the recognition they deserve, whatever. But in this case, this just seems petty and weird. Well, at this point, like, I don't even understand what the point of having these awards are, other than to just, make jabs at other people. Then back in February, you had the kind of drama between Lindsey Vonn and Mikaela Shiffrin, where Lindsey Vonn took to Twitter saying that she was, here, let me find the article, from AP. And go check out this article on its own. I'm just gonna read a little snippet of it. Vonn said Monday that she was disappointed with how Shiffrin handled her decision to race in the combined at the Skiing World Championships with downhill world champion Breezy Johnson instead of pairing with her in a skiing dream team. It goes on to say Vonn had campaigned to race with Shiffrin on an American team that would have united the two most successful skiers in World Cup history. Never mind that neither skier is technically even allowed to select who they pair with. That's something U.S. team's coaching staff decide based on the season best results in both downhill and slalom. Yeah, like, as if Mikaela isn't any saying that, though. I don't know. Oh, yeah, like, let's deflect it to some nameless coach. Okay. Sure, maybe technically. So anyway, after doing some research into it, my understanding is that essentially Mikaela wasn't going to do the super combined, and Lindsey Vonn had expressed interest in doing it with Mikaela, and then Mikaela decided to come back and announce that she would be doing the super combined with Breezy Johnson, and she had like some tweet that she deleted that essentially said like, oh, well, why am I not surprised? But later on was tweeting, you know, in support and writing supportive messages on Instagram. The long short of it is this, in my opinion. I get where Mikaela's coming from, where this was before Lindsey Vonn had a World Cup win, and maybe she was just going for the best result, trying to kind of optimize everything. Where I think that really elite athletes have a little bit of a blind spot is looking at the big picture. Ski racing right now is just on life support. There is not much viewership. It is really hard to keep people engaged. We don't get like really built out teams. We kind of have like star racers here and there scattered throughout. But honestly, the US ski team's performance has been pretty weak, and a lot of that has to do with accessibility. Think about it. People who run, all you need is a pair of shoes, and you get a ton of people when you go to these running events, when you go to cross country, track meets, things like that. There is a deep pool of talented people competing against each other. Ski racing, on the other hand, for most areas, you have to be pretty wealthy to do it. There's exceptions, right? Like Ryan Cochran's Seagull, you know, he comes from a family that has a small ski hill and it runs off of like a tractor engine. You get these standout people that don't necessarily come from wealth, but it's pretty few and far between. And with the amount of off-season camps you need to do, with the amount of camps you do around Christmas time, with having access to snow more of the year to get more mileage, the barrier to entry every year with ski racing gets larger and larger. And because of that, the stars become fewer and fewer because of the distribution and it being really difficult to watch World Cup events. Viewership has shrunk and shrunk, and it has just become a very, very niche sport. In Europe, it's obviously a little bit different, but in the US specifically, there is just not a lot of support for ski racing. And so when you look at this, going back to Mikaela, sure, like on paper, Breezy Johnson might be the best person, right? Maybe you don't want your career to be overshadowed by Lindsey Vonn. But the opportunity for a combined of two larger-than-life legacy ski racers, the best of each generation, to combine and do an event together, it would have been epic. The viewership would have been huge. The amount of attention it would have gotten. It was a giant opportunity. They both are on Oakley goggles. Imagine if Oakley had made like a special combined, the same colors, but then you use like one in different patterns and kind of like a yin and yang way. There is so many cool opportunities for hype, for their sponsors, for viewership, for legacy things, looking at the bigger picture of the sport. And it's like, Mikaela, how many more wins do you need? What's one more win? It's like, okay, you have the record. At this point, you're just trying to set a bigger record for future racers. But here's a little hint. If ski racing doesn't kind of pull itself off of light sport, doesn't get people viewing it, doesn't inspire younger generations, if you don't have stuff like this to hype people up, then eventually you're going to set the record for life. There's not going to be enough future athletes to come and break your records. It's not going to matter. The long-term health of the sport depends on stuff like this, and it was a golden opportunity that you just kind of shrugged off. On top of that, I do find it funny because I don't want to quote a tweet that I can't find. There was something where Lindsey Vonn was just annoyed that I think Mikaela hadn't gone back to her. I don't remember. I couldn't find it, so take it with a giant grain of salt. From what I remember, there was just complaints in the way that Mikaela was communicating. I find it super funny because when I worked for Ski Racing Magazine, I had to like do outreach to both of these people, and they're both terrible at replying to things. Some of that is that Ski Racing Magazine had, I think, a reputation for asking questions that they said they wouldn't. And even my manager was like, well, if you do talk to Lindsey, ask about Tiger, ask about this stuff. And even, so I don't know, it was kind of gross, and I don't blame them. But I do find it funny that both of these people are terrible at communicating with each other, and obviously it comes into the public spotlight and kind of explodes. But yeah, they're both not great at communicating. I also think for Mikaela, like, she's just so focused on being the best, which is great, but you have to think big picture. You know, there's more to being a professional athlete than just your performance, than just what's on the books, but also your personality and connecting with fans and finding different ways of doing that. This seemed like it was served to her on a silver platter. This seemed like a slam dunk for both of them. I don't get it. And Mikaela wasn't like obligated to do this, but it would have been just an epic thing to have them both racing. And clearly Vonn was capable. She went on like a couple weeks later to get a World Cup win. So in my mind, it was short-sighted. I think Lindsey had a really great idea and they should have gone with it. I also, being from East Burke, doing the Burke Mountain Academy junior program, having friends that did the BMA like high school thing, I just think that like sometimes people who go to ski academies, they can be a little bit awkward. You're going to a small high school with a graduating class of like 10 people. You just don't get a ton of time to socialize. And you think about Mikaela, she's been on the World Cup circuit since she was a teenager. You don't get a lot of time to work on those kind of more social skills or the ability to like handle conflict or disagreement. So what ends up happening is Mikaela just kind of ghosted, and I'm not going to deal with this. It just seemed short-sighted and a huge miss. And on top of that, like a little disrespectful to Lindsey Vonn. Like, at least give her the courtesy of a phone call. Call them up, say like, hey, I think maybe next year we could do this, or just be honest, like, hey, I don't want to do this for X, Y, and Z reason. There's no reason to like not give someone a call. You could, like, how much public backlash could have been avoided from just picking up the phone? I also watched some of Mikaela's new YouTube channel, but honestly, it's just like, it's so overpolished. Same with like Steven Nyman. Steven Nyman came out with a YouTube channel this year, and I was like so stoked. I was like, I like Steven Nyman. I like learning about like behind the scenes stuff at World Cup races, and it was kind of interesting. And then he made 3 videos and just stopped. It was like, okay, you gotta make more of these. And you could tell they have like a professional editor, and when he's talking, he's not talking about anything all that interesting or unique. He doesn't really open up to his personality. And I haven't watched all of Mikaela's content, but that's kind of how it comes across to me, is like, you're just getting very surface level stuff. If you want to connect with people, just be like really sincere. You don't need all of this kind of polish that Steven and Mikaela seem to think they need. I mean, Mikaela's maybe a little bit different. She's actively on the World Cup. Steven Nyman, it was like, oh yeah, I'm starting this big YouTube channel, 3 videos a year. It's like, come on, man. This is a great venue to connect with people and tell them about your actual life. Anyway, maybe I'm just old school, and obviously I'm low budget here, but the analogy that I was telling, I think I was talking to my brother about this. If you guys ever watched the movie Cars, right, a classic, there's a scene at the end where there's 3 main winning cars, and there's one guy who's on his last year, he's about to retire, and then there's this really aggressive guy who's in second, and then there's Lightning McQueen who's in first. And at the end, the guy who's about to retire, his wheels blow out, he crashes, and the main character pushes him through the finish. And the guy who is normally in second, who's really aggressive, he wins the race, but, you know, the main character of the story pushes the guy who's about to retire through the finish. Now, the other guy technically wins, he gets a World Cup, but he just looks like a jerk, right? Because he didn't care about the legacy of the sport, whereas the main character really seems to care about this. This feels like what I'm watching, where Lindsey Vonn is like opening up the door saying, hey, we're both, you know, legacy racers that will go down in history. Let's have this opportunity to race together and come forward for the sport, let people see it, get a bunch of attention. Really, it's kind of a cool way of like honoring both of their careers at the same time. It's an easy layup. And instead, Mikaela is so focused on like, well, I could get another win, or I'm going to do this, and it's the most optimal way to do it. It just put a bad taste in my mouth. And on top of that, and the awards where Breezy Johnson's getting the best comeback story, I mean, come on. At a certain point, it just feels a little bit disrespectful and petty for no reason. Okay, you don't want to race with Lindsey Vonn in this super combo, or the coaches don't. whatever, okay. But then like, we can't give her comeback of the year? We can't give Nick Gepper comeback of the year? Are you joking? Anyway, those are my thoughts. This has been a long ramble about a very small subject, but I wanted to give you guys my honest opinion because it's been eating me alive for like the last 4 months, so I'm glad I finally got a chance to talk about it. Also, there will be more regular content coming up. We've kind of slowed down our schedule. I had family visit from out of town twice in a row, and I don't know, I just wanted to put this stuff on the back burner, spend time with them, not be worried about getting my videos out. But you can see an uptick in videos coming out this week and next week and so forth, especially as we start to go into the fall. As always, if you want to support the channel, like and subscribe. You can become a member. We will have affiliate links down below. But as always, more than anything, just thanks for spending your day with me. Thanks for taking time out of your day to watch my video. If you disagree with me, I'm totally open to that. I'm definitely biased. I'm not a huge fan of any specific ski racer. I think the closest thing I came to being a fan was Ted Rickety, but even lately I've been critical of him and some of the stuff with shred optics. So, but you know, maybe I'm just being biased because I'm older, where I'm more in the generation of Lindsey Vonn and Julian Mancuso than Mikaela Shiffrin. Maybe I'm missing something. Feel free to let me know down in the comments. It's not life or death, it's just my opinion. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.